There is apparently something very, very spooky about Talladega Superspeedway and the broadcast computer here at Pit Stop TV. Two Talladega races in a row for this SARG Superspeedway series, and two massive, catastrophic even, malfunctions at the beginning of these broadcasts. Last time around, much more innocent, small graphics error. This time around, the famed Windows blue screen. So, as we fire back up, we can go ahead and take a look through all the usual graphics and pretend like nothing ever happened. Welcome to round 4 at the Talladega Superspeedway. Last time out, we were at Atlanta. Next time out, we head out to Daytona on the Legacy 2008 scan. Should be a whole bunch of fun. While we wait on the sim to reload, we can take a look at the Talladega Superspeedway track map with that brand new logo at the top left of that screen. Track record for the truck series sitting at a 55.078, and we'll see where these guys check in as they work. Let's see, lap 1, we're not too far behind. How about that? Checking in at exactly the perfect time. The sim is loading, initializing, and it looks like they just took the start of the race. Let's go ahead and get the B-roll down and just get straight to the broadcast. I'm impressed that we were able to just make lap number 1. Well, an unprecedented scene. 2 Talladega races in a row, but there they go, across the banking. Turns 3 and 4, lap number 1. I promise not much was missed. Just these drivers qualifying and taking the green, and already 3 abreast through the entire field. Gary Sexton going to push the 16 of Ben McDonald out to the lead. Lap 1 complete at Talladega. Indy Cassie moves up to the middle lane, almost at the top side. That's actually Dylan Holland way up there in the Wawa Toyota Tundra. He's got help from Nick Olson, 2-time race winner already this season, would like to make it 3. This is the one track that he has not won at yet. Robbie Lyons, of course, won race number 2 here earlier this season, just about 3 weeks ago. Moved down to the bottom lane, though, from Lucas Cram. That's going to put Cassie another row back on that middle lane, and here comes Holland from the top side. Well, an unusual start to the broadcast, for sure, but a usual resumption, if you will, to the same 3-wide racing we've seen all season from this bunch. We might even see 4-wide again this evening, but this Talladega field is a bit thinner than what we saw in race number 2 earlier this season. Most notably left off the entry blank, Tim George and David Levine. Levine had just moved into the 11th spot in points after Atlanta 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, though, not able to make this race as he has had to make a trip down to Jacksonville, Florida. We certainly wish he was here with us this evening. Side by side still, trucks 72 and 44. The 17 not far behind, that's Dylan Holland, still off the top side with Nick Olson pushing. Gavin Jones smack in the middle of this group with Kyle Manger behind him. That's your middle lane, and now add John Bower to that mix. Down low, it's Lucas Cram in the 44, Ben McDonald in the 16, Gary Sexton in the 3, Robbie Lyons in the 2, and finally, it looks like Brandon Houff back there in the 9 as Gavin Jones jumps up to the top side and will take over the race lead at Talladega Superspeedway on lap number 4. Tries to get down to that middle lane, gap not there, 4 wide they go on lap 4. A rookie mistake there from Gavin Jones, but you know what? Get that stuff out early. Get those little mistakes out of the way early in this race. Come back later and maybe put that truck in victory lane if you're Gavin Jones in the number 12. Meanwhile, Indy Cassie right back down to the bottom of the racetrack. As these guys work lap number 5, don't worry, we're not cutting away to a commercial, but we are going to take a look at point standings as everybody continues down the Alabama Gang's super stretch. Nick Olson out front, 7 points up on Brandon Half. Lucas Cram in third, and we'll come back and review all of this after stage number 1, a bit more in-depth, but your same few players out front. Nick Olson, Brandon Half, Lucas Cram, your top 3, separated by just 10 points in total. Of course, this being race number 4, we're smack in the middle of the season. Next up, we head out to the Legacy Daytona. Last race was at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Whiplash SimCam's race details, 75-lap race, a 35-lap stage that 5 laps are already completed for. The fuel window sits about 19 to 22 laps. Of course, those 3 change sets of tires in the pits, 4 for the race in total, so on and so forth. Just about the same as we've seen all season, all the way down to the racing action so far. 3 wide down the backstretch, the top line snaking a bit as Dylan Holland gets John Bower all sorts of squirrely down the backstretch. They stay 3 wide. They cannot be separated at the front of the field. 3 abreast across the start and finish line, this time by Bower with the lead, Manger in the middle in second, and Indy Cassie him across the line third that time as Sean Howell went fastest on the racetrack, and he is all the way back here last of every driver on the racetrack. He is running 18th of 18 behind Lucas Strayer and everybody else, and they stay 3 wide out front, but we're still on the top side. Manger still in the middle, and Cassie still down low as all of the energy starts to wrinkle out of that bottom lane. They're starting to fall back. Cassie, Cram, McDonald, Lyons. And as soon as I say that, they come surging back to the race lead. Four wide now, Dylan Holland jumps up to the top lane, tries to make something happen up there, and he will actually go to the back. Slides in behind Nick Olson, so 1 spot further back than where he was. And the top lane looks a bit anemic now afterwards. That's what happens as Lucas Cram finds the gap to jump up to the middle lane. Going back to that fuel window as these drivers, of course, get through this opening run, get some laps under their belt, and it looks like might continue on green flag for a little while. You have to start thinking about pit stops. We saw this quite a bit, actually, throughout Monday's action down at Daytona, didn't we? Through the Daytona 500 and the United Rentals 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, as a couple of drivers maybe drop out here. The Hollands, Dylan and Brian. It looks like they may have left us here on lap number 9. You just saw them blink out from the view of Brett Baldeck. But as far as pit window, fuel window, about 19 to 22 laps. These guys should have a pretty cut and dry strategy. And it was mostly cut and dry a couple of weeks ago, a couple of races ago, as Dylan Holland and Brian Holland jumped back into the race. We'll see a round of green flag pit stops if they're able to go green this entire stage. We're at least to about lap 22, 23. It's about the longest these guys can go. It'll be stage 2 that gets a little more interesting. Of course, caution laps kind of extending into that stage. We'll even it out a little bit. We'll take a little bit off the top, I suppose. They can come back in and top off on, let's see, probably lap... I guess lap 38, 39 as we go green on 39 or 40. As the 12 car gets left alone again, Gavin Jones hung out to dry in the middle. Stephen Gale used Ben McDonald to jump up and actually goes right back up to McDonald, who he nearly abandoned on that top lane with no help. Now that top side sinks back to John Bower, and big moves out of the bottom. Manger goes up to block Lucas Cram, and Indy Cassie went straight from the basement to the attic. Gonna take over maybe that top position at the line. No, it was still... I actually don't know who led that lap. That could have been Lucas Cram or Kyle Major. Regardless, that second stage will be a little tighter on fuel. Everybody should still be good to go. We'll, of course, see how things play out as the Hollands have dropped back out of the main pack. I think maybe to protect everybody else from any future connection issues in this early stint at Talladega. Ten laps down, 65 to go. This time across the stripe, that'll make it 64. A big nod, of course, to series presenting partner Sunwest Constructions. Of course, thanks to Sunwest Constructions, we're able to get to the virtual racetrack every week with the SARG Superspeedway Series. 7 races strong. We've gone through 3. This is number 4. And this is where Robbie Lyons was able to grab a race win in race 2. Now he's going to power to the race lead as we've got crashing. Caution number 1 will just keep Robbie Lyons out of the race lead. It all happened above the number 2 truck as he was trying to take the lead away. Kyle Manger and Lucas Cram made some moves out of turn number 2 to go to the top side. We'll see if maybe it's a result of that. Cram goes up, Gavin Jones there in the middle, Indy Cassie, Stephen Gale. Sure enough, it's that checkup with the 72 and the 52 that causes caution number 1 on the evening. It looks like it could be a lot worse, even for Indy Cassie, and that we might have gotten away with one there. So Indy Cassie down the backstretch getting help here from Stephen Gale, and it was as soon as Lucas Cram went to the top side, the very top of the racetrack. It looks like Indy might have jumped down to the throttle. Stephen wasn't expecting it, and sure enough, they all just came together. On board from Stephen Gale's perspective, and yeah, Stephen might not have even known that Lucas went to the top side, depending on where he was looking. Going to slow it down here on a turn 2. And draw some attention. It'll work. That section there that I was trying to highlight, it looks like we'll have to go back and do it one more time. That's the little window. So this little area is about where you'll be able to see the 44 when he jumps up to the top side. But as they work out of turn 2 here, your eyes as a driver are moving all around. And even as a sim driver, you're moving all around the screen. You might be watching the mirror up here. The virtual mirror, of course, is a box, something like that. Regardless, there's no time to see what's going on there. They all check up. No time for Stephen Gale to react. And unfortunately, the crash just kind of goes on from there. Now, thankfully, it was only 2 trucks, it looks like, involved in that mess. Everybody else seems to have gotten away okay. Maybe an errant trip to the inside wall for some as they were avoiding that mess, but to only have 2 trucks involved when you're 3 wide for the first caution of the race, that's not too bad. Now, ATVO is telling us no pit stop made by Lucas Strayer. Sure, we'll find out more about what's going on for the 41 once we go green, but Lucas Cram comes in for service, and the entirety of the field otherwise has come in for service. Gavin Jones even is in, and Gavin Jones, not sure why he's taken so long, but he will head back out onto the racetrack. Stephen Gale, truck number 52. Indy Cassie, both taking service. And Gale will pull away in that number 52 truck. A lot of right front damage. And Cassie then will pull away. So those two trucks both get away okay. And now everybody else comes back around the pit lane. Robbie Lyons will stay out. Gary Sexton stays out. Brett Baldick stays out. Everybody else, though, comes down the pit lane looking for more service. And Strayer this time makes it to the box. He may have run through the pit lane and not stopped that way. He could pit again late in this caution, but get the lap led. Well, 15 laps complete. Robbie Lyons, the race leader. He, of course, went to victory lane. Well, you know what? It's not even noted on the standings. Robbie, I'm robbing you of a win. No, okay, I did get it in there. He's got well, an opportunity to go for 2 wins this evening, of course. Nick Olson's got 2 wins, but Robbie Lyons going to victory lane. Race number 2 has him winning the tie currently with Ben McDonald. That's just for the 5th position, though. That 2 truck would like to go higher, of course, as everybody else would like to go to victory lane, move their way up the board. Back to that schedule, though. Talladega being crossed off the list this evening. We'll, of course, find out who goes to victory lane in just a little while, but Daytona 1 is crossed off. There we go. Let's properly cross. Daytona 1 is crossed off. Talladega 1 crossed off. Atlanta crossed off. Talladega this evening. Of course, Legacy Daytona coming up next week. Daytona 3, the 3rd race. That at Daytona Beach comes up for race number 6. And then it's back here at Talladega to wrap things up with the one track that we're going to 3 times properly. Now, the iRacing.com pace car is going to head back down the safety of pit lane. And as a result of those late pit stops, we have just 4 trucks doubled up for this restart. Everybody else is going to roll on by in single file format. Green flag back in the air, 60 to go. A move up high out of Brett Baldick brings the 5 and 24. Kyle Manger, Nick Olson getting in line in the middle lane. And for now, that'll be the top as well until the Hollands get there, maybe. As the field is all kinds of strung out all the way back to Indy Cassie in the 18th position. But everybody is together and in the draft aside from that 72 truck. So Indy Cassie off pace. Of course, he's got a chance to get some more damage repaired later in this event. And Baldick going to shoot up to the top side and let Manger and Olson go on through. It looks like maybe jump back in line once the 24 goes by. Oh, he's actually going to fall all the way back here, it looks like. And Brett's kind of played this strategy most of this season, kind of fall back, let these guys mess around and do their thing, and just try to be there at the end. Though if I were the driver of the 4, I might consider pushing a little more when you have that opportunity. Of course, to each their own. And realistically, he's probably going to be better off for sitting back here at this point in time and letting the race play out. As Dylan Holland surges to the race lead. Lap 17, Brandon Hoff goes purple as he joins his grit drivers in the middle. Kyle Manger, Nick Olson, Brandon Hoff, a big run through turns 1 and 2. Oh, and that's not clear. That's a crash waiting to happen. Will they save it? No, crash. Robbie Lyons, Brian Holland, and Lucas Strayer. Sure enough, that crash that Brett Baldeck was trying to avoid just happened. Go back and get a look as to what actually happened down the back stretch. They're all over the place. That's going to take some diagnosing, actually. Big hits for the 2. And that might be it, actually. It might just be Robbie Lyons that actually gets a big hit out of this crash. It might be all she wrote, the 2 truck. Right reared down the back stretch, hard in the outside wall. Good checkup out of the 52 of Stephen Gale to miss the 2 after all of that. Brennan House going to come down off the middle lane and I think pretty well get this started. He's going to try and follow Kyle Manger and Nick Olson. And in a move that looks similar to Ross Chastain Monday night, well, I think the 9 was trying to follow. I'll actually take that back. I don't know that he necessarily moved all that far off the lane. It might have been a little more of Robbie Lyons actually coming up. I will take it all back. Maybe. I think they drove into each other and then they wrecked up top. Robbie and Brandon would have been fine if not for whatever happened between the Hollands and then everybody else. Slowed down here down the back stretch. Dylan Holland gets jacked up by brother Brian Holland. That swerves the 17 all over the racetrack. McDonald checks up. I think he might have been punched by the 12 of Gavin Jones, and that's what properly causes the crash. So McDonald gets a big piece of it. Gavin Jones gets on the binders. There's Stephen Gale checking up, locking the brakes to miss the 2. That was a fine piece of driving out of Gale. Already been in 1 crash this evening, doesn't want to make it 2. Goes the middle lane. Took a while to check up, but wow. And Kyle Manger, Nick Olson, and I of Brandon Howell will take over the race lead. They will stay out. No, they won't stay out. They actually did pit. Or did they? No. The 3 definitely pitted. The 3 leading the race anyway. Or stayed out, rather. There we go. We'll get there one of these days. Kyle Manger, Nick Olson, Brennan Half, they all stay out. I guess it was factual to say the 3 pitted because Gary Sexton's working off the pit lane. Indy Cassie is doing the same. And we'll see if Cassie's able to get some racing speed. Oh. 4th gear didn't sound too good. Fourth gear did not sound too good for the 72. He's making decent speed around. That was not so great note. Not so great. Well, 20 laps complete. This will take us well within the fuel window for stage number 1. And of course, we have the rush of drivers back down the pit lane to top off on fuel. Dager, McMillan, Sexton, Sean Howell. Gavin Jones is actually trying to race back around after a longer service, along with Stephen Gale and the Hollands. There's Dylan Holland in the 17. And Brian Holland in the 88. I didn't think he had much damage out of that crash, but apparently it was enough to come in for about 2 minutes total of service. You can see a bit of damage to the left rear, right above the wheel. But the field will double back up, and we'll have about 5 rows of double file. Which means this will be the more exciting of the 2 restarts to get the race going. As we wait on a new restart, we can take a look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV. Because there is some new stuff going on this screen. We're used to the Lucky Motorsports Street Stocks, and even now, the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. But actually, it's interesting. This is tomorrow's graphic. We will be in action with the Sarah Super Series tomorrow night at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. But Sunday evening, while we've taken a couple of Winter Series broadcasts of the Icon Cup Series, they're coming to the channel properly, beginning February 25th when they open their season at Daytona International Speedway for a full NASCAR-length season. We'll talk more about that later on. Lap 21 complete this time by to take the restart once again. Front row, Kyle Manger, Nick Olson. Ben McDonald trying to make moves on lap 1 of the restart. And he's got help now. Lucas Strayer comes to the rescue. Initially, he had nobody on his side, went up there alone. And now he'll drop back down to the middle, leaving just Dylan Holland and the 12 of Gavin Jones on that top side. But leading this race, Kyle Manger, truck number 5. Looking to make it 9 laps led. I think this is the most we've seen out of Manger so far this season. Leading the way for lap 22. And if you look at the laps led graphic, he has led the most so far. 9 laps led now. The Bowers 1, Lions 3. Indy Cassie's 3 laps. Lucas Cram's 4. And Dylan Holland's 1 lap led. But on a list of things I did not expect to see after that crash, how about Robbie Lyons about to drive to the race lead after going head-on into the outside wall. Now he's taken his 1 fast repair. He's back in this race. But he is on thin ice for now nearly, well, over 50 laps to go. Indy Cassie off the top side. He's got help from Lucas Cram. Ben McDonald there as well. 9 cars, 3 wide, 3 deep. There's a handful of trucks off the pace. One of them, Dylan Holland, in the 17, I think has just gone through a race-ending incident in the back of the field. I don't know what's happened. The right front looks broken. Then McDonald got a shove down to the inside lane, leaves Lucas Cram and Indy Cassie without help. Let's take a look back at what might have happened there to the 17. We need to see what happens to Dylan Holland. So there's the pack. And we've actually just gone to caution. Robbie Lyons is in trouble as we went to the replay to check on Dylan Holland. And it's still not clear what happened to the 17. Looks like a connection issue, but Robbie Lyons spun around. What has happened here? Something tells me truck number 2 is not getting his second win of the season. At least not tonight. Off of the connection issue with the 17 truck a lap prior. An incident this time, it looks like going into turn number 1. Lyons had just taken the race lead through help from Nick Olson. Was just involved in the previous wreck. Went head first into the outside wall. And here, Robbie gets hooked around by Nick Olson hard into the 5 truck. And Robbie Lyons might be done for the day. Kyle Major, a big part of that. Gets hit in the right door. Pretty good job to save it afterwards. Locked it down left. That was impressive. On board with Major. He saw it coming a little bit. What about this job to save it, though? Cranked the wheel left and left it there. Nick Olson just gives a tap, hooks the 2, and Robbie Lyons all kinds of turned around. Thankfully not upside down, but something tells me the 2 is, again, probably not going to be going to victory lane this evening. I've been proven wrong before. We'll wait to see what happens in this pit cycle before we make any moves to talk to anybody, but Kyle Major, amazingly, is going to have the race lead in all of this as Nick Olson goes to the back of the field, it looks like. And the whole field going to work down, well, half the field going to work down pit lane. Brandon Half and several others will stay out. Stephen Gale stays out, along with Ben McDonald, John Bower, Sean Howell, Indy Cassie. Lucas Cram comes in, though, for service in the 44 truck. It looks like another pole position for Lucas. Gary Sexton's in, Robbie Lyons taking service now, and this is where we'll learn a lot about just how bad it's going to be for truck number 2. There goes everybody else leaving the pit lane. Goes up on the left side, Jack, and see when the 2 pulls away. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. Manger gets out of the pit lane quick. No fast repair taken yet for Manger. McMillan, no trouble in all of that. Gary Sexton down and away quickly. Kyle Dager, the same story. But then get back to guys like Gavin Jones. He's taking some extra time in the pits. Nick Olson as well. He's got some left rear damage. Dylan Holland there recovering from whatever happened, and he was able to stay on the lead lap. Not entirely sure what went on for him. So as we await confirmation on just how long it's going to take the 2 to get back out there, we can go back and at least try to find a bit of what happened to Dylan Holland. So you see here, this is about where we found him. Right rear bouncing all around, right front rather, bouncing all around. Damage to the truck, certainly, not really knowing what it's from, suddenly just off pace. And it looks like this is just the tail end of it, that's all we get. But he must have been having connection issues. Ends up hard in the outside wall. You see all the damage there to the nose. And I'm not sure. So he just kind of comes back into the picture. Brian Holland was right around him. We can go back one more time and kind of see. So if Brian Holland was there, the 21 was there. Both Hollands were phased out. They were blinking out. And the 88 just reappears, the 17 reappears, but he's already in the outside wall. It had something to do with the connection issues that those 2 have been experiencing so far this evening. Also, Robbie Lyons doesn't look half bad. Still certainly has some damage to the number 2. But if we go down and grab Robbie to talk to briefly, we can kind of find out about how bad the damage is. And Robbie, 2 head-on collisions. How's the truck feeling?
You know, all things considered, not too bad. I think I have about 45 seconds worth of damage left to fix, so we'll make it to the end of this stage here and get her fixed up, and probably fixed up just in time to crash again.
Yeah, that one head-on impact to the outside wall didn't do you any good. Fast repair taken there. So when you're trying to go through all of the optional repair, of course, get the required taken care of if there was any, how big of a difference is it between having 45 seconds left and having 0 seconds left in that optional repairs?
You know, with just 45 seconds left, as long as you have a truck behind you, it's not too bad. But if if you're the last car in line, it's pretty hard to hang on to the draft. So with 5 laps to go here in this stage, or I guess close to 5 laps in the stage, we should be able to make it without losing a lap. But I'll try to stay with the draft here and feel it out and see what it's gonna do.
Well, Robbie, doubled up. We'll let you get back to it. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Robbie Lyons running now, it looks like 13th position. As we get ready to go back green flag, you see less of the field concerned about fuel now for sure. They want to set themselves up for stage points. We'll have 7 laps to go in stage number 1 when we take the green flag. Into the Geico restart zone we go. And the green flag is back out. 7 laps to go in stage 1. Up out of turn number 2, Brett Baldeck falling back. Gavin Jones trying to surge through the field. Brian Holland, he's going to drop back. But the race leaders, they know what's up for grabs. A whole bunch of points. We've seen just how important those points have been for Lucas Cram and Nick Olson. Brandon Half wants to get in on the action. He's got Ben McDonald now to the outside, though, and it's going to get messy. Busy. 3 wide, maybe 4 wide. They're going to find out. 6 laps to go at the stripe. And Robbie Lyons is hanging with the draft. That's all you need out of the number 2. He might even get stage points. He's running 9th. Side by side by side. Brandon Half down low. Ben McDonald in the middle in that number 16 Ford F-150. He's going to take the race lead down the backstretch and stay in the middle lane. That's a pretty cool picture to look at and shows, I think, the dynamics in this pack up front. 10 trucks kind of separated at the moment. Gavin Jones and Nick Olson not far back. The 24, though, being in 12th spot, rather. That could have a significant impact on our standings because the 44, Lucas Cram, of course, is right in the mix, and Nick Olson doesn't stay out of it for long. McDonald falling back this lap. Bower as well. Brandon Half, though, doesn't have much team help down to the bottom. He's got the 38 of Sean Howell behind and the 41 of Lucas Strayer, but they are much less organized than we've seen those grit trucks get throughout the course of the season. Weather conditions, by the way, as you see the field dance around a bit, 68.8 degrees in the air. 74 degrees on track. John Bower going to drop down in front of the 16 and try to take the race lead at the line. He had it there, but doesn't count yet. The 6 drops down in front of Brandon Half. Will take over the race lead proper. McDonald a little further back, and Bower will stay right down low. Half moved around a little bit. Nowhere to go. Flames out the tailpipe for a moment for Stephen Gill down the backstretch. They were lifting. trying to figure out where they need to be. McDonald comes down. He side drafts a bit. And Lucas Cram. Of course, he's in the mix, but he's not exactly going forward. He's stuck in the middle lane. And he's stuck in the middle of the middle lane. He's got trucks to the outside. He's got trucks to the inside. Trucks out front, trucks out back. There's nowhere for the 44 to go as we take 3 to go in stage 1. This is a bit abnormal to what Lucas has been able to expect so far. He's been working together with all of those grit teammates throughout the course of the season to this point, through 4 races. Or I guess 3. Through 3 races. They were all working together very, very nicely. Today, it's a little bit less organized for that bunch. He could have an opening here if he can get clear of the 72 of Indy Cassie. With 2 to go on the stage, Lucas might have a way to move forward. But up front, it's the 6 and 16. The Ford F-150 show, and sure enough, Lucas Cram took the out. He jumps up top in front of Indy Cassie, and he's going to try and get that top side rolling. Going to bring Cassie, going to bring Manger and Jones. It's a bit more of that grit organization we were expecting. And 3 Ford F-150s will take over at Talladega, and just like that, in a lap, Lucas Cram is able to go from 8th, 9th, up to 1st. I don't know how he does it. He just, and you know what? Cassie may have laid back, but the cards have just aligned once again to where we're about to take 1 lap to go in the stage, and sure enough, Lucas Cram is your race leader. 1 lap to go until points. Notably, Nick Olson is right on the cusp of stage points. Looks like he's going to drive into it. 9th position for the 24 as Gary Sexton's going to jump up top. He's going to try and use that top lane with Indy Cassie and others. Nick Olson in the middle. Going to move up now to the 8th position, does that 24 truck. But out front, Brandon Houff, here we go. The first of the big moves coming to the line. This is the end of stage 1. Lucas Cram can't block the 6. He'll try to block the 38. That'll work. But John Bower, through the tri-oval at Talladega Superspeedway, is just going to win stage 1. And they crash behind. Saw Gavin Jones slow and sideways, trying to catch the truck. Oh, Nick Olson's got some damage. Good bit of right rear damage there to the 24 that was not there before. We'll take a look as to what might have happened. He's going to get tipped around, it looks like, by a teammate. Kyle Manger got him. And that sends the 24 up into the 12. We'll get another look at this and see if maybe we can tell where he's going to end up finishing in this stage. That's the points leader who got shoved out on the top side. Manger came up to help, but ends up tipping Olson around, and at the line, where is the 24? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th position, it looks like. Maybe 8th. Maybe 8th, maybe 9th, and gets hit pretty hard by the 12 of Gavin Jones, who had nowhere to go. And this is Jones' perspective. So caution number 3, of course, is for the stage, and everybody comes on in. Hello, John Bower, Brandon Houff, Lucas Cram, Ben McDonald, Sean Howell. And there's the 52 of Stephen Gale finally making it to the party. And Howell is going to drive straight through, and we've seen that before. That gets him the lap lead. He'll be able to pit later on in this caution. Not a bad move. McDonald there on the jacks, and Bower will roll out after full service. In the third position, he'll likely take second. And that is your Stage 1 winner. So John Bower takes home 10 extra points for the stage win. And we can find out what's been going on for driver number 6. John, first stage win of the season, and you just got it there after Lucas couldn't quite block you. What was going on behind the wheel?
Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to be too aggressive because I know we've had some wrecks, and I mean, this style of racing here, especially with the 3 wide's kind of crazy, but the truck got a little hot, and I saw I was clear to the top, and I know Brandon's fairly conservative when it comes to the end of stages, so I pulled up and got on his nose and just happened to work out. It's just kind of luck at these places.
Well, that's the theme of plate racing, isn't it? Just trying to get luck on your side. Now, there hasn't been a great correlation between stage winning and race winning. Are you worried at all?
Well, I would assume that with my track record that'll probably continue, but we're gonna try tonight. I had a 4th at Atlanta. I feel like I had a shot at that one, so I don't know. I like the setup. It pushes well. It gets pushed well. As long as we can stay out of trouble, I think we'll have a good shot at it.
And John, of course, all of you guys have all your different commitments throughout the week. I'm sure a handful of leagues on tap for you. Where else do you race in iRace? Of course, we know some of these guys from previous series, Lucas Cram, for example, Nick Olson and such. But what does John Bower do on iRacing throughout the rest of the week?
Hell, this is about it. I don't do a whole lot on the sim. I do a lot of official when it goes to tracks that I like. I don't do a whole lot of league racing. I worked with a friend of mine in Monday Night Racing, Colin Fern, for the last 3 or 4 seasons, but that's ended now, so that's no longer going. So this is about it. I get on Discord with the guys, but this is about the only thing I race these days.
Well, John, good to have you here. Good to talk to you finally, and best of luck in stage number 2.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate you.
John, actually, John, which channel were you in? Were you with Dylan Holland or Kyle Dagan?
I was in General. Yeah, with
okay,
McDonald and them. Yep.
Love that Discord moving around. Didn't actually recall which channel he came from, but hey, we get him back down to where he needs to be. He'll restart second. Lucas Cram was able to win the race off pit lane, and sure enough, Sean Howell just came through. He'll work off the pits. The premium e-bikes, Toyota Tundra, will rejoin the field in 13th. Now, as these guys pace around, we can circle back around to what's upcoming for us at Pitstop.TV. And again, this kind of circumvents what we have going on tomorrow night. Right where you see Thursday, though, just imagine that says Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway and February 22nd, because tomorrow night we head out to the fairgrounds for more SARA action. And by SARA action, I mean super late models. It's the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series super late models on the high banks of the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Then we resume with this slate of action. Next week is an off week for us here at the SARG Super Speedway Series, but we've got plenty of oval racing for any kind of fan. We've got Cup cars on Sunday, street stocks on Tuesday, super late models on Thursday, and hey, we've got plate racing, we've got short track racing, everything in between. And as this season gets going, here in 2024, we're going to see all kinds of tracks as well with that Icon Cup Series. But into the restart zone we go once more. And stage number 2 is underway at Talladega Superspeedway. John Bower right back to the race lead. He'll challenge Lucas Cram at turn number 3 and win that challenge as he comes down to block the 44. So the reverse of the stage end as Stephen Gale gets shuffled out to the top side by Ben McDonald. The end of the stage had Lucas Cram trying to throw a block on the 6. This time, the 6 blocks the 44. And we'll take the race lead as we come around to complete the first lap of green flag racing in stage number 2. And Lucas Cram this time going to get left out to dry. The 44 goes backwards. Nick Olson going to be a few points short now of the 44. And they're dancing. Everybody's trying to find where they need to be to begin stage number 2. As the field comes back together, a big move down to the bottom side for McDonald. Side by side, they stay out front. Lucas Cram, big time help. Stephen Gale, Gary Sexton, Kyle Manger, Robbie Lyons all helping that middle lane. And that will put Cram right back in the race lead. Lap 40 of 75. This field has come right back together, by the way. Sean Howell only 1.3 seconds off the race lead. They're strung out a little bit, but everybody's right back together. No trucks a lap down. Nobody out of the race. What you like to see. Couple of trucks slow. Lucas Strayer out of line. Looks like Nick Olson as well, but the leaders keep it together. Lap 41. This will give us 35 to go this time by, which was the length, of course, of stage 1. We've got an extra 4 or 5 laps on the tires, on the fuel, as Nick Olson gets all kinds of sideways in the tri-oval. It looks like somebody did something that didn't quite add up. The math wasn't mathing through the tri-oval. Thankfully, though, everybody saves it as Cram goes back down to the bottom side. McDonald in second. Bower in the 3rd spot in that lane. And now McDonald goes right back up. So McDonald with the shove. He'll drop down low. Bring Stephen Gale with him. And that is going to change things dramatically. Gale had been the pusher in the middle lane. Now Lucas Cram goes straight back up, and he's going to get help this time from the 3 of Gary Sexton, who we haven't seen much of. Interesting shot there of the iRacing.com pace car. Didn't expect that one. But Lucas Cram takes the race lead back away as the 3 of Sexton comes up to push. Brian Holland in the conversation. Robbie Lyons sitting back a little bit. And where is Dylan Holland? Well, he's up top side. So 2 Hollands are back in this race, and that's good. That is a good thing. We've seen a lot of them the first 3 races of the season. A lot of different moments out of those 2 as well, but those connection issues in the first stage definitely had me concerned, and I'll even knock on wood for them and hope that they don't see any more issue throughout the course of these 30 or so laps left to go. Another complete. Robbie Lyons drops down low, and here we go. Right back to the season old, if you will. Hurry up and wait. Been talking about it all season. When these guys get into a run like this, there's only so much you can do. Only so much theorizing. Only so much I can say. Hypothesizing, of course, it runs out quick. At this point, it's just a straight up run. Maybe try to save a little bit of fuel. Throttle back when you can. You're hearing Holland do a little bit of that. But overall, these drivers just need to get through this race. And that's one of the most interesting challenges to super speedway racing, and one that's difficult for a lot of drivers to get down, as Sexton tried to go up top there. Of course, these guys want to lead all these laps, and they want to put themselves out front. They want to have fun. But if you want to win this race, you don't necessarily need to do all of that. You can sit back like Kyle Dager. You can sit back like maybe Lucas Strayer. I think I like the position those guys are in. They're on tap with the guys up front. They can push up whenever they would like, but they're not at the back of the field. And they have time to check up as well. All of this as Dylan Holland got a taste. There we go. Got a taste of the lead. Briefly into turn number 3 that time. The run out of turn 4 just might have it again as these guys go side by side, 3 abreast to the start-finish line. Lucas Cram led that lap. And Nick Olson works on the top side of the racetrack currently. He's had a bit of an interesting day. Going back to the fact that he is our points leader coming into this afternoon. Nick has 7 points up on Brandon Half, actually. Lucas Cram, third of the standings, as right out the windshield of the 24, they go 4 wide. Gavin Jones going up there. I don't know where he was trying to go other than forward, I suppose, but everybody gets a bit disjointed after that move. But if we do some very unofficial math, hopefully the math's on this one. Olsen is going to have plus, what, about 2? I guess I should do that on the other side of the screen. Hang on. So from the stage, he's going to earn himself about 2. Pretend that's a 2. It doesn't look like 1, but pretend it's a 2. Brandon Half, I didn't quite catch where he finished in the stage. I'm going to assume about 5 points for him. And we'll say about 8 for Lucas Cram. And I'll have to review and see maybe where they each finished. And if I go back actually and look, it looks like the 9 of Brandon Half actually is going to be taking 9 points out of the stage. Pretend that's a 9. That drastically changes things. Half is going to take the points lead maybe, or even tie with Nick Olson, depending on how it's counted across the line. And now Lucas Cram is going to be significantly closer. So we'll get the graphic back out of the way here and get back to the racing picture. But in terms of context to what these guys are fighting for at the moment, I don't know how aware they are of the point situation, but it's a whole lot closer than it was at the drop of the green. Big move there to Nick Olson. Lucas Cram tried to go up and block. Didn't work out. And Gavin Jones is going to tag on to the back end of that middle lane. See the 2 of Robbie Lyons in that train. Stephen Gale, Ben McDonald, they're starting to fall back. But it's an ever-changing landscape right there. Holland had already moved down. Now the 5 jumps down. That's Kyle Manger. He's going to command the bottom side. And I would expect him to try and play Pied Piper this time down the backstretch. If the 44 gets a run, I think the 5 will come up and try and block. Or, very contrary to that belief, we see something a bit more out of what Joey Logano was expecting in the Daytona 500. I believe it was Todd Gilliland who jumped out of line and went for the race lead. As Joey Logano had control of the top side, Todd Gilliland had control of the bottom side. They were controlling the race. You're seeing the exact same thing here. And now, of course, that changes. See, that's exactly how that played out. Gilliland went up to block Logano and take the race lead for himself for a little while. Now, the effect is a little bit different with these trucks, especially being at a different track, but the idea is the same. Graham and Manger are teammates. They were leading each lane. Now they're stacked up in the middle and losing control of this race. They had it for a moment. They had it for about a lap or so. And now they sink back to 2nd and 4th and who knows where else as this ever-changing pack changes once again. So Holland leads. That's Dylan Holland. Gary Sexton on the top side of the number 3. And he's got help from the truck that's gone into the outside wall twice today, Robbie Lyons. I don't know the science of drafting, but I have to wonder if maybe there's prime drafting conditions to get the top side rolling. It has not been good. There's flashes of brilliance in the pan just like that, where Lucas Cram was able to take the lead of the middle lane away by jumping in front of Gary Sexton temporarily, but there are so few drivers willing to work up there at this point. I just don't know that they have enough strength to do what they're trying to do up there. Meanwhile, you see the 44 take the race lead once again. Lucas Cram leading across the stripe. It is 25 laps to go. Oh, they got real close there to turn one. That changes his pack again. Here comes the top side now. Kyle Manger up there, and Holland's going to go to the middle to try and, command the lane that's been the best. Manger up top. Sexton behind, so the 5, 3, and 2 are on the top side, and Lucas Cram just finds a gap to go down to the bottom. What do you know? Truck 44 back in the lead. Can he keep it, though, to the start-finish line? No, Holland surges ahead with help from Gavin Jones. The 12 has been swept out of these lines just about all race long. Nobody has seemed to want to work with the 12, despite Gavin being very dedicated on the back bumper of whoever's in front of him. That time, he put the 17 back in the lead, and now Lucas Cram is there to reap the benefits as he jumps back up to the middle lane to block the 17 down the backstretch. And of course, that push for the 17 out of turn 2, guess where it came from? Gavin Jones. And just like earlier, just like I was talking about, nobody was there in the middle to help Jones after he pushed the 17 to the lead, and now Holland blinks, then goes up top. So Gavin Jones found a gap down low that Lucas Cram is going to have to pass up on for the time being. And Jones gets in line there. Now Lucas Cram gets in line. Dylan Holland jumps down, and everything has changed once again. You have a bottom, you have a top, and a sucker hole. Welcome back, Indy Cassie, into the top 10. 8th place. He's going to try and help out this 17 truck. Holland is looking good as this race goes on. Brian Holland is at the very back, and he has had some kind of mishap, it looks like. He is actually about to go one lap down. The field will be there, I think, this next lap around the speedway. Ben McDonald, Brian Holland, here they go through the tri-oval. McDonald down low, Brandon Half gets swept out of the lane. Holland leads that lap with help this time from Cassie. And Brian Holland will work the apron. He might just be able to tag in lane with these guys. He's back on power now. Wow, he's got nothing. He's starting to pick back up a little bit, but I don't think he's going to grab the back end of the draft. I think that 88 is damaged. I think it's running a bit sour. He might be able to tag on with these guys. He's up to 180. And the guys in the front are doing 185, so he might be okay. But it's a stretch for the 88 truck as he's going to... Oh. Well, he's surely losing the draft now. I don't know what he just did there at pit entry, but he'll surely lose the draft again. Out front, Brian Holland down low. Indy Cassie up top. Things have changed. We're down to 2 lanes as drivers start to get ready for green flag pit stops for the first time. We didn't need them in stage 1. We ended up getting a couple of cautions. Here in stage 2, though, it's been a very different story for the better. Here we go, pit stop. Dylan Holland will come down to the pit lane and is only going to get a couple of others. Kyle Manger, it looks like, will join the 17. Brett Baldick as well. But everybody else stays out that lap, trying to go just a little bit longer And I like that call, actually, to go a bit longer as Brian Holland tries to join this bunch. I just don't know that he's going to be able to get back in line with them. I like the call to go longer. Try and keep a little more fuel in the truck. Be ready to go for a green-white checkered if needed. At the same time, you could try and do the same math where you have just enough fuel to go to the end, but you take less time in the pit lane. Now, I don't know if that's going to benefit these guys enough to actually do it. Here we go. Brandon Hoff was going to drop down, and everybody comes in this time around. The 21 and the 38 stay out, but everybody else comes in, and the 9, Brandon Hoff, might have just made pit speed. McDonald, Lyons, Olsen, Cram, Gale, Jones, everybody into the pit lane aside from Jacob McMillan and Sean Howell. And there goes Lucas Cram into his box. Meanwhile, then you have this guy, Jacob McMillan, leading the race, at least for a moment. Sean Howell in behind, who's had a couple of purple laps in this race. And these two now are your race leaders, at least for a lap. And this will also show us if a whole group or a tandem is faster in the truck at Talladega. Brandon Hoff gets out a second ahead of the rest of the field, which spells a little bit of trouble. As here goes Dylan Holland, here goes Kyle Manger. It looks like Brett Baldeck is not with them for whatever reason. He will get in line, it looks like, with help from Robbie Lyons and Gavin Jones behind. And here we go, pit stop for the 21 of McMillan and the 38 of Howell. Oh my goodness. John's so used to driving straight through the pit lane that he missed his box there. That's going to hurt McMillan. That's going to hurt everybody. Well, not everybody, but those two, both of them. It's going to hurt Howell. It's going to hurt McMillan. We'll see where the 21 is able to jump back in lane, but the 38 is out of the lead pack for sure. The 21 will be as well. He's going to end up dropping back, likely with Kyle Dager, if not, along with Brett Baldick, Robbie Lyons, and Gavin Jones as well. But up front, we are back to racing for the lead and soon for the win. John Bower, Dylan Holland, side by side, lap 59. It'll be 16 to go this time by. Leaders have fueled up, maybe 2 tires, and they're back on the racetrack. Bower leads that lap, and the 6 is starting to look pretty good. This, I think, is the best we've seen the 6 be. He's been kind of here, there, and everywhere the first few races of the season, but especially now with the blanking up top, this is going to help the 6 a bit more, at least in the short term. Of course, there's still 16 laps to go. Anything can happen later on, but if you look at laps led, 8 now for Bower. That is third to Kyle Manger and Lucas Cram, who have 13 and 12 respectively throughout the course of this race. And now Cram goes up to the top side, but with the volatility, maybe, of the 17, I don't know if that's a safe move or not. Cram, though, gets back down in line, and John Bower is going to have to try to find his way back to the lead of one of these lines. Comes up, pulls up, gives a shove there to Lucas. And so these drivers soldier on. Lucas Cram now, tied for the most laps led. I'm sure that's a bonus point or two. I'd have to check the league regulations on that. I can do that on the fly. So looking at the latest race results, going back to Atlanta Motor Speedway, there is a 3-point bonus for leading the most laps. And that's significantly more than you would find in most leagues. Usually it's a 1-point bonus or something like that. 3 points is much more significant, and that could absolutely turn the tides in a points battle if you're Lucas Cram or Kyle Manger or anybody else in this field. So that gives a whole lot more context as to why we see the 44 be so aggressive throughout the course of this race. He's got 14 laps led, now the most by 1 over Kyle Manger, who is back into the fight here, pushing Lucas Strayer to the front of the field. And so if Manger had found a way to lead this lap, he could have tied right back up and shared the points with Lucas Cram. Your contact there as the top side comes back into the picture. Brandon Health with a shove from, I believe it's going to be Indy Cassie up top, and it is. Strayer's going to drop down in front of a fellow Toyota and get help now from the 17 of Dylan Holland, putting 3 grit drivers back in the charge of each one of these lanes. Strayer down low, Manger in the middle, Health up top, and can the 5 lead a lap? He's going to be tied back up with Lucas Cram for the most laps led. And Robbie Lyons, the truck who is out there with some optional repairs now fixed up, after going head on into the 5. Well, he just went fastest. That is impressive. I'm a little bit speechless. That was 12 laps to go last time by. It'll be 11 this time around as McDonald gets left in the middle. He's going to have to try to find somebody to help him, and what do you know? It's the fastest truck on the racetrack. Robbie Lyons coming up to help the 16. And McDonald, or Holland rather, will drop right back down and give these guys a lane right at the flag stand. No Kevin LePage action this evening. That's good to see. And sure enough, these lanes keep changing. Now, they don't have to pit, so it's not like these guys are trying to get in a lane to pit. But here we go. A big move from Robbie Lyons, and the number 2 is back in the lead at Talladega. The drive to go for 2 back-to-back wins at this racetrack is still alive for Robbie Lyons. He takes over in the middle lane now. Got the big push from Lucas Cram. Now Manger comes up to block the number 2 truck, and he's right back in the middle of all of this, where we might see a crash at any instant and take Robbie straight back out of the fight. He is one of just a handful of drivers who have had to use a fast repair. Other drivers having to use one so far include Dylan Holland and Indy Cassie. Needless to say, if the 2 is involved in a crash again, I think he's done. And again, I said that 40 laps ago. And Sean Howell is never been able to recover from his incident in the pits. He's about to go a lap down. That was 10 laps to go, though, when we are 3 wide. Cram up top. Olsen down low. Manger in the middle. And Brandon Health, who's going to be about tied with Nick Olsen for the points lead as they run. He is stuck on the top side, 3 or 4 trucks back as they start to dance around and put the 2 truck 4 wide. Health's going to drop down and help Robbie Lyons, but everything is getting chaotic here inside of 10 laps to go. 4 sustained lines at Talladega. Holland jumps down. That's going to leave Lucas Cram up top with just Indy Cassie to help. And the 44 gets put in the fence. Cram gets back in line, though. Robbie Lyons going to take the race lead, if just for a moment. And Manger gets help from that 16 once again to put the 5 back in the race lead. As quickly as they got 4 wide, they went back to 3 wide. And Sean Howell will go one lap down this next time through as they're back 4 wide, leaving the 16 out to dry. That might not end well. They got real close there to turn 1, nearly contact with the 3 and 16. But Sexton and McDonald will stay off of one another, and Robbie Lyons tries to pick a lane to go with, can't find one. Bower goes all the way and scrapes the outside wall down the backstretch. 2, maybe now 3 trucks going to get clear in the middle. Manger, Strayer, and Sexton wants to follow. And the top lane has completely imploded. Bower going all the way back outside the top 10. And Dylan Holland dropping all the way back to 16th spot, last in this group. Seven laps to go. Nice move there from the 3. Gary Sexton's going to jump up top and in front of Brandon Houff. And that 9 has been a fantastic pusher this season. That might be a winning move from Sexton if he's able to hang on. Meanwhile, though, the grit truck stays side by side. Olsen down low, Manger in the middle. And how is this going to pan out this time by? 3 wide, they'll go by the start-finish line, and Gary Sexton just led that lap. He's going to drop all the way from the attic to the basement. Well, might pick a floor in between. He jumps up now in front of the 5. And Manger's going to try and dispatch to the 3. Not so quick, not so fast. Sexton's going to hang on in the middle, and that has been maybe the best line for getting the race lead and then dropping down. But Brandon Houff this time will get it from the top side and drop down now in front of Sexton, who goes all the way to the basement, all the way to the bottom, and Houff will go along with. Now the 9 jumps up. 5 laps to go, this time by the flag stand, and welcome back, John Bower. The 3, the 6, and the 9 each lead one of these lanes. The 3 down low, the 9 in the middle, the 6 up top. And the lanes are about even as they run. That's about as even as you could possibly make it. 6 down low, 5 in the middle, 5 up top. Everybody is trying to go somewhere. The only 2 that are really laying back are the 21 and the 4 of McMillan and Baldock, respectively. And with 5 to go, Nick Olsen gives a big shove to the 3. They get moving big time through turns 3 and 4. And Gary Sexton goes right to the race lead. Big move there to go to the middle for the 3 truck, and he's going to reap the benefits, at least in the short term. Houff gives him a shot, and will keep Gary Sexton out front for 1 lap more. But Nick Olsen down low. Watch out for that 24 if he's able to get back ahead of the 3. I say that, and Sexton goes back down to block. I think that takes Sexton out of the lead here for a little bit, because Bower's got a big run up top from Indy Cassia, the 72, who's also used a faster picker, just like Robbie Lyons, who's also in that lane. Houff even was fantastic down the backstretch, and Brandon should take the race lead this time through. No, Manger down to the bottom side. And Kyle Manger will take the race lead back away for the time being. Gary Sexton, though, making a liar out of me. He just might lead this lap. And he will. And these lines aren't too different from what we saw about 5 laps ago, when Sexton got to the lead and got in command of that bottom side. Now Houff going to go up top. And he's going to try and use the 6 to go forward. Bower all over the place down the backstretch. And they get in line. Brandon Half commanding this race now. We'll have 2 laps to go, this time by the flag stand. Gary Sexton, Brandon Half, John Bower, they have been the 3 leading these lines for the last handful of laps. Rinse, repeat. Same song, I don't know what verse, I've lost count. Sexton down low, Half in the middle, Bower up top. The helpers are Olsen in the middle, or Olsen down low, Manger in the middle, and Cassie up top, and everybody is just packed in behind. Howell is 1 lap down. Holland has called it, and he is 8 laps down. But with a lap and a half to go at the Talladega Superspeedway, we are in lockstep formation. Sexton to run down low, of course, that's going to happen in the corner, but watch this 9 truck. Brandon Half, a big run as we go back into the tri-oval, and we will come around and take just 1 lap to go at Talladega. White flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. The 9 has been so close. He's got a stage win this season, if not 2. He's second in points, might have tied it up with the stage points from earlier on. He has a chance here to go for the win, has to jump out the throttle though for Gary Sexton, who goes straight to the middle. They're going to crash behind, but we're 4 wide, going for the race win at Talladega. John Bower going to get back in command of this field. He jumps to the middle, now jumps to the bottom. Gary Sexton right on his right rear. They separate for just a moment, and out of turn number 4, it's side by side by side, 3 lanes into the tri-oval at Talladega. Who's it going to be? A crash with a 3. The entire field's going to crash, and the 52 might have just done it. I don't know who wins. The entire field in a crash on the final lap, and Stephen Gale is your winner. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Gary Sexton goes from 1st to 16th. I am stunned. This is the winning truck. I am absolutely just floored. It takes a lot to have me absolutely speechless, but that has me absolutely speechless. While the 52 comes around to look at the unofficial race results, Gale with the win, McMillan second, Brett Baldick third, Gavin Jones, Kyle Manger your top 5, then McDonald, Cassie, Olsen, Cram, and Half your top 10. A look at the rest as Dylan Holland goes 11th, Kyle Dager, Lucas Strayer, everybody else on through your running order, but it's the 52 who goes to victory lane in stunning fashion at the very last moment at Talladega. An absolutely horrendous crash for the rest of the field in the tri-oval, and he was just the guy who was able to miss it the fastest. I am absolutely blown away. And Stephen Gale, as you burn it down, rightfully so, in front of the fans, virtual fans at Talladega, what did you see in the last 200 feet of that race?
Oh, sorry. Straight chaos.
Straight chaos, a good way to put it. You were the first one to miss the crash, or at least, I guess, the one to miss the crash the fastest. We're going to go back to a replay here, but walk us through at least your perspective that last lap.
Saw them hit together, and I just kind of said, just gotta put the pedal on the metal and just go for it.
So watch along here, the replay being shown. You're what, 6th, 7th or so here on the bottom side, coming to the checkers this time. What's going through your mind? Where are you planning to go?
I'm gonna stay in the bottom just because like I'll just push Nick to the win at this point. Nowhere I can go. And then I saw that I was getting hit, I think, or tapped by Lucas, and I just put the metal down. I was like, well, if I'm winning, I'm not.
Wow. That's incredible stuff. Of course, it's been kind of hit or miss these first few weeks trying to get your way in this series. A couple of unfortunate incidents. I think a couple even here at Talladega in race 2. But this is a big-time breakthrough. Does this, I guess, get you back into things in your mind for the rest of the season?
It definitely gives me a good confidence boost. I ran pretty well the other races, just got involved in earlier accidents. And then when I got involved in the first accident this race, I was kind of dreading it. But luckily the truck was still okay enough to keep going.
We saw that big crash, and you were reluctant to use that fast repair. You never did you?
Nope, just had 3 minutes and just went with it.
Well, Steven, good to talk to you finally. It's been a wild few weeks to get this season started, and I think the craziest race win I've seen in a long time. I've seen quite a few in these last few years of broadcasting. Steven, congratulations. That's going to be one to go back and watch several times.
Oh, for sure. Thank you so much.
Steven Gale, race winner at Talladega Superspeedway, and it's just by mere inches over McMillan, who's able to come to the line second place. Jacob, as we watch another replay here, what were you seeing that last lap?
Well, I saw a couple wrecks. That's what I saw. I don't know. I put my foot to the floor and didn't lift. All I needed to do was I don't know, just maintain my position.
You missed that first crash in the backstretch. Where were you trying to go here at the end? I mean, you're right behind the guy who ends up winning the race, Steven Gale in turn 3, but I guess what's going through your mind here?
What's going through my mind in that position right there is my goal is to not wreck it. I don't want to be the one to cause another wreck. So my goal is to hug the yellow line and just send it. I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of thought to it, to be honest. I just kind of sent it and ended up where I ended up. My thought there is I saw him going down. I didn't want to pass it below the yellow, so I guess if I kept it straight, I could have won it. But I'm happy. It's my best finish in 3 seasons in this league, so I'm very happy.
Is this your first top 3?
In league history, this is my second. I finished 3rd 2 seasons ago, which 3 years ago at this point. But I don't know. I'm just ecstatic. Usually, it's usually a top 15 if I'm lucky. So second place is a dream.
Absolutely. I think you should be. And as we slow this down right at the start-finish line, that is how close you are. I don't mean to rub it in or anything.
No.
We can kind of go back here and slow it down again. That is how close it is. And if we switch cameras, maybe that's a better perspective. There we go.
Yeah, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I'm very happy with where I finished. That doesn't come every day. I've only ever been in this interview room twice, so I'm very pleased with where I'm at.
Well, Jacob, it's good to talk to you for the first time this season. Let's make that second next time out at Daytona, the Legacy version as well. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Jacob McMillan, second place this evening, which then means we can take a moment and talk to Mr. TV himself, Brett Baldeck, in truck number 4. Brett, there was a lot going on. You were one of the few drivers that was laying back all race long. You barely missed the first crash. What happened that last lap?
Yeah, so we were, those last 10 laps, it was just 3 wide. I was stuck in the back. There was really nowhere for me to go. So I just stuck back there, and it ended up working out for me. I dodged the one on the backstretch. Then I started drafting back up, and I really didn't think I was going to get a top 10. And then you can see on the in the tri-oval there is a massive wreck, and I thought maybe I could get those guys beating and banging first and second, but I just missed it. But I mean, I'll take 3rd. That was a heck of a race, those last 10 laps.
And we see you kind of take this strategy these first few weeks to get the season going, sit back, kind of wait for the chaos to ensue. And while it has ensued, you've been caught up in it, I think, most of these 3 weeks. This time it finally breaks the way it needs to. Is there, I guess, anything you feel like you could have done differently these first few races? Maybe do you want to push more? I mean, this is a hell of a miss, by the way. I don't know how you did that. But is there going to be any change to your strategy, or does this kind of finally validate it?
I mean, I joined this league, and I love Superspeedway racing just because I need to learn more. and they keep telling me I need to be more aggressive. So I think in the next week I'll try to be up in the lead pack. I can tell you that I absolutely hate being in the middle. So in the next few weeks, you'll either find me on the low side or the high side. But when I'm in the middle, I just back out. I just scares me too much. I don't think I can keep a straight wheel. So we'll see how it goes the next few weeks.
Well, Brett, if there's anywhere that you can practice getting side-by-side plate racing in the truck, Talladega this week might be the best. So best of luck if you decide to get your toes wet there. That's going to be a scary one, and hopefully we'll talk to you more this season.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And real quick, I just want to mention our sponsor on my car or truck. If you go to motorscape.news, not .com, but motorscape.news, we were just at Daytona. A bunch of cool stories up there, so hopefully people watching that are race fans will go check it out.
So we've seen the Motorscape logo on, well, your truck and Gary's these last few weeks right there. That's what you're looking for. If you're watching, motorscape.news, you say?
Yep, we have a bunch of cool stories from Daytona. We're going to have some more this week, previewing Atlanta. It's a new venture with Gary and I, and we appreciate everyone's support.
Absolutely, Brett. Best of luck to you. Hopefully we're talking to you a lot more.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Brett Baldeck. Third place when it's all said and done. That new venture, that's pretty cool. We've seen that logo these first few weeks, getting the season going, and good to finally get some context there with the 3 and 4 trucks, each sporting that Motorscape News logo. Let's go back and just watch this a bit. This is 2 laps to go, and we'll just watch this unfold once over. To the 16 trying to go 4 wide for a moment. That's Ben McDonald in the middle, Lucas Cram with him. And it's when we get back around that everything absolutely goes haywire on that last lap. I don't know what gets Robbie Lyons turned around, and then, of course, 2 trucks go over the last lap, Ben McDonald and Gary Sexton both. But we'll just kind of watch through here. There's the white flag. And Robbie Lyons is the truck that I recall the most vividly being in this crash. I know there were others, but... With 2 on the top side, there's 3 strong up there, Half moving around, Sexton comes up to block, and I think it was in that reaction to Gary's block, everybody just got completely crossed up, and it ends up being that Robbie Lyons goes for a spin. I still really can't tell you what went on in that crash. So if we go back just a short amount, kind of watch that unfold, there's where everybody's going, and McDonald ends up getting into the 2 and turns Robbie around, which then leaves these guys up front to figure it out for themselves. Indy Cassidy up top. Gary Sexton just finds his way by the 6 of Bower, the stage winner tonight. He did a fantastic job all the way to the end, and he ends up 16th, which is so unfortunate. But then if we slow it down here, Sexton in the middle, he's going to try to throw a block. Where's the best view? This might be it. He tries to throw a block off the nose of the 5, who has the 44 to the inside. They all just wad him up. And Sexton goes into the catch fence. McDonald ends up Tony Hawking down the safer barrier, and it's just a yard sale across the start-finish line of bent sim truck pieces. Back for a view on board with Gary Sexton. That's Indy Cassidy. Here's Gary Sexton. And at this point in time, everything looks good. Everything looks well. Not a cloud. Well, 1 cloud in the sky. Coming around, trying to take the checkers, blocking, moving all around. He just might have it. Then in the middle, it all kind of goes haywire. Smash. And poor Jeff Bodine. Hopefully he was out of the pace car, because that was a big hit otherwise. Watch one more time. On board. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And now if you're Ben McDonald, it's a similar picture here at the very end of the race. This is into the trial from that little drone we have at the end of pit lane, and watch the 16 gonna go up onto the safer barrier there and just skid along. He ends up making out okay. I mean, 6th place is not bad at all, considering everybody's flying by you at A $180 as you're crashed in the outside wall. That's not too bad. One more look for driver 16. Kapow, up the wall. Absolutely incredible. Well, as everything kind of mellows down here from the virtual Talladega Superspeedway, that is certainly one way to wrap things up. Next up, we head to Legacy Daytona. 80 laps on the worn out 2008 service should be a whole lot of fun. And you do not want to miss that race. March 6th, we're back in action in 2 weeks' time at Legacy Daytona. And of course, in the meantime, we have a whole lot happening here at Pit Stop TV. First up, we actually head to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway tomorrow night with the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. 6 words in that series name. But the SARA, Sim Auto Racing Association, super late models head out to Nashville Fairgrounds tomorrow night and then again in a week's time on Leap Day, February 29th. But in the meantime, in between those 2 races, we also head to Daytona International Speedway this Sunday for the first race of the Icon Cup Series in 2024. It's good to be working with them here in the new year. We did a little bit of working with them at the back end of 2023 in their winter series. We had a memorable broadcast from virtual Monza going into the dark in that race. I know Baldeck was talking about racing into the dark here at Talladega, or trying to race the dark. Well, they did it at Monza over the winter. Should be a lot of fun to get the season started with them. And then, of course, Tuesday, it's the season finale for the Lucky Motorsport Solutions Street Stocks, brought to you by Elevated Performance. You do not want to miss that Final Four race. It's going to be a lot of fun with 4 drivers going for the championship. David Levine, Zach Schucker, Tim George, and Tyler Langenberg, each with a chance to win that championship. That'll do it for us this evening from Pit Stop TV from the virtual Talladega Superspeedway. That was a fun race. Calamity ensued for the broadcast before we even got started. The old Windows blue screen got us from the start. We were able to get back in, though, and boy, glad we were able to do so. A big shout out, of course, to our partners with the series, SunWest Construction, allowing us to do this on these Wednesday evenings throughout the beginning of 2024. And a shout out as well to the Lucky Motorsports Solutions Bunch supporting this season of racing. A big nod to those who help us make these broadcasts happen on our end: Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, and of course, behind the scenes, the credits certainly go to In Audio, ATVO, Whiplash SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. Thanks so much for being here. Even through the blue screen at the start, it certainly was worth it, though. What a finish. And we do it again here at Talladega for the season finale. Don't forget it, a couple of weeks in Daytona to begin March, then Talladega to finish the season off. Make sure you're here with us on Pit Stop TV. 3 races to go. We'll see you next time.